In Swara Yoga, the aim is not only to regulate and control the vital and mental capacity through control of breath. In fact, Swara Yoga says that by concentrating on the pranic flow, one can experience the existence of supreme consciousness. So far, we have discussed prana or Shakti. But how does this relate to consciousness or Shiva? In its primordial state, consciousness is united with prana like water and salt in the ocean. When they become separated, they play different roles in the various realms of creation. Shiva is consciousness and it manifests as mind. Shakti is energy manifesting as prana. And in Swara Yoga, it becomes the tool for understanding consciousness. Just as prana exists in the cosmic and individual state, so does consciousness. Equation of relativity. Tantra and yoga define matter as a gross form of energy. Of course, the energy inherent in matter can be liberated, but still, it will not be the final product. Inherent in energy is consciousness. The difference between these three states is only the vibrational rate and density of energy. At the highest and most subtle level of vibration, energy manifests as pure consciousness. As the rate of vibration decreases, it appears to be pure energy. And finally, it solidifies into matter. In the reverse order, matter can be transformed into energy and the energy into consciousness. The objective of Swara Yoga is to experience the inherent energy in matter and mind so that consciousness manifests. We think the physical body or the mass of earth, sun, moon and stars are just gross matter because our perception is so limited. In the ultimate analysis, however, all the great scientists and seers found that matter is but one state of energy. In another state of manifestation, matter again becomes prana or light. Yoga applies the same principle to the mind. The mind is considered as a form of matter which operates at a higher energy level or rate of vibration. The more the mind is observed in the physical world, the grosser it becomes and the less the consciousness or awareness can function. This is the tamasic state of mind. As consciousness and awareness develop, the mind starts to oscillate, to become dynamic. Later it becomes completely one-pointed, awakened and sattvic. By becoming aware of the breath, the flow of prana, you attune the mind to more subtle vibration. Therefore, Swara Yoga says, first realize the energy potential operating in the body, then realize the potential energy of the mind, and finally realize the inherent consciousness in both. Consciousness, the primal element. Matter, energy, and consciousness are convertible and reconvertible. This is the basic principle of Tantra and modern science. Physics define matter as a combination of trillions of particles, molecules, atoms, and subatoms. The difference between each mass is in the arrangement and vibration of the particles. If you change these factors, the mass also changes form. For example, in a block of ice, the particles are closely packed together and vibrate slowly. If you heat the ice, it turns into liquid. The particles move away from each other and begin to vibrate more quickly. When you apply more heat, the water becomes vapor and the particles move further apart, vibrating at a greater speed. The ice changes its form, but still the basic chemical elements remain the same. Similarly, yoga considers pure consciousness to be the basic element that manifests in the various forms of creation. It moves not. Particle. Physics explain how the atoms of every object interconnect with the particles of the surrounding environment. Thus, every manifestation in creation forms part of a never ending field of particles. The atoms, electrons, protons, neutrons, photons comprising our bodies, the clothes we wear, the ground on which we walk, and the air we breathe are all arranged in different densities, combinations, and vibrations. But at a certain point, these atoms all interact and interlink. Everything is a part of undifferentiated whole. Whatever exists within this field is changed only by the restructuring of the particles. In the continual process of nature, all these particles interact and vibrate unceasingly. The field is thus in a state of constant motion, and yet, as a whole, it is not moving anywhere. This is exactly what is explained in the Isha Upanishad in reference to the nature of consciousness. It moves not. It is far, it is near. It is within all this and it is outside all this. Mantra 5. Physics talks about the undifferentiated field and yoga about all pervading consciousness. In reference to this, the greatest scientist of our time, Einstein has said that we may therefore regard matter as being constituted by the regions of space in which the field is extremely intense. There is no place in this new kind of physics both for the field and matter, for the field is the only reality. Cosmic mind and prana. In Tantra, there is a beautiful concept which explains how the interaction of consciousness with prana manifests as creation. Not only does this apply to cosmic event, but to our personal life as well, because each individual is a complete universe unto himself. Tantra says that before the universe and galaxy came into being, the inherent potential of creation existed in Hiranyagarbha, the golden egg or universal womb of creation. This is represented by Bindu, which means point. It can be linked to a seed with infinite potential. From this tiny point of light, the entire creation unfolds. Within Bindu exist two poles of energy, one positive and the other negative. And at the nucleus is the matter. The positive pole represents consciousness or Shiva and can be equated with time. The negative pole represents prana or shakti are together. There is no movement, no spark, no creation. But as soon as the split takes place and these both forces are separated into positive and negative poles, they begin to interact upon each other. At this point, the two poles start to proceed towards each other and eventually they connect at the nucleus. Time and space have first to be separated before they can meet. When these two forces, time and space, Shiva and Shakti, come together again, a great explosion takes place and the nucleus of matter bursts into trillions of fragments, which forms the nubile of creation. These nubile vibrate such in an incredible speed and velocity that they emit ultrasonic waves and light. This is the most first manifestation of cosmic prana, which is represented by the cosmic body. Thus, in the process of creation and evolution, we have two definite aspects before us: Hiranyagarbha or cosmic mind and cosmic prana. Swara Yoga equates Shakti and Shiva with prana and chitta, which manifest in the body as the two nadis, Pingala and Ida. In Sankhya philosophy, they are known as Prakriti and Purusha. In Tasoyam, as Yin and Yang. These are the two forces which uphold the universe and spark of the entire creation. Mind and consciousness, the ancient yogis were able to define mind and consciousness by becoming receptive to the subtle vibrations in the universe. The most sensitive they were aware became the more subtle vibration. They were able to perceive in every realm of existence, they perceived the underlying consciousness. The word consciousness has often been confused with the individual mind, but the individual mind is the only tool of consciousness. That capacity which enables us to be aware is more than the mind, it is consciousness. If you dissect the mind, you will not be able to find the mind. It is just the instrument of perception. Maybe with the help of modern technology, you could deduct the prana, but there is no instrument that can measure or calculate the extent of the mind, let alone the inherent quality of consciousness. Dimensions of the mind. Yoga describes the mind as the creation of Atma Shakti or the creative power of consciousness. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna compares the mind to a chariot, the body and senses to the horse, and the Atma to the charioteer. These are the three levels from which we operate. In Swara Yoga, each level is associated with a specific nadi. Pingala is responsible for external awareness and motivating the body. Ida withdraws the mind and activates internal awareness. Sushumna is a passage of transcendental consciousness. According to Jung and other modern psychologists, the mind can be categorized into three states: consciousness, subconsciousness, and unconsciousness. Within these three states, the consciousness undergoes the experience of mind and body. However, yoga describes a fourth dimension where the finite mind no longer exists. The consciousness travels into a higher dimension called Turiya, which is beyond objective and subjective experience. There is no individuality, no existence of I and you, no past, present, or future, only oneness and unity. In this state, the individual's consciousness and prana returns to the cosmic body. Three states of consciousness. In Jagrit, the walking state, the mundane world is perceived through the gross body. The Mandukya Upanishad says that here the enjoyment lies in the visible objects of the world. In Jagrit, there is association with the external world through the five sensory organs, the ears, eye, tongue, nose, and skin, and through the five organs of action, the hands, feet, speech, reproductive, and excretory organs. In the waking state, information is interpreted by manas, buddhi, ego, and chitta. These are all associated with the functions of Pingala Nadi. At a deeper level of consciousness, encounters subjective experience in the subconscious realm of Swapna, the dream state. Here, the experiences are those of the astral or subtle body. The consciousness becomes involved in the mental impressions of Jagrat, undergoing the memories in the Karmashya, the place where every action, thought, and word is stored. In the subconscious, there is no objective experience through the senses. The experiences are purely mental and therefore it is associated with Ida Nadi. When the unconscious layer of mind is entered, one undergoes the experience of the casual or etherical body, the Karana Sharira. This is Shushupati, described in the Mandukya Upanishad as the realm of dreamless sleep lying beyond desire in the territory of intuition. Here, the gross and subtle mind no longer functions. They are absorbed into the self, and the consciousness is not bound by time or space. Nevertheless, there remains a trace of individual existence, and the Atma is still caught in the darkness. The unconscious realm is associated with Sushumna Nadi before it is awakened. Only when it is fully illuminated can we experience the relative of consciousness. Throughout life, we are undergoing these three states of consciousness without retaining any awareness of the experience. However, the yogis of old found that by maintaining undivided attention on the movement of the breath and prana, they could pass from one state to the next without losing awareness. They could even pass beyond the barriers of the finite mind into the infinite. It is written in Mandukya Upanishad that then the Atma remains obviously to the external, intermediate, and internal worlds and enters into Turiya, where neither sight nor thought can be penetrated. In fact, Turiya cannot be described in terms of the empirical world because there are no poles of duality. Individual consciousness unites with its source or pure Atma. When the consciousness is absorbed in Jagrat, awareness of Swapna and Shushupati is not there. In Swapna, nothing exists except the reality, and the same applies to Shushupati. But all these levels of mind can be experienced simultaneously, and the purpose of yoga is to awaken our awareness of each state and thereby bring the mind closer to together. We live under the dominion of duality, Ida and Pingala, while they control the body and mind. The consciousness has to undergo those experiences. Swara Yoga aims to bring about a balance between Ida and Pingala duality and thus awaken Sushumna or the pure consciousness.